What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today, I wanted to talk about Russell Westbrook, who just recently passed Oscar Robertson for the most triple-doubles in the history of the NBA. We've gone through most of the teams that are kind of in the playoff hunt right now, and I felt like today was a good day to kind of take a break from that and talk about Russ, who has had a really good season and has led the Wizards back into the thick of the NBA play-in race. They had really struggled to start the year and were not playing super well at all. Recently, they've been one of the hottest teams in the league over the past month or so and have started really winning games. And now, they're right in the middle of the playoff race. Bradley Beal is going to be out for the last little while, but Russ is healthy and he has been playing really, really well over the last little while. So let's just do a quick little recap on Russell Westbrook's season and his career. So I'm going to be honest. If you have follow this channel, you might know that I am not the biggest fan of Russell Westbrook. I have been critical of him at points in the past, and I think rightfully so. I think he's a very polarizing player, right? A lot of people, you love him or you hate him, and that's kind of been the story of his career, particularly earlier on in his career, like a couple of years ago, back when he was with OKC, and the years with Kevin Durant, and then the year after KD left where he went off and won the MVP, and then the triple-double thing kind of started to happen and stuff like that, and a lot of people were either like, wow, this guy's amazing, triple-doubles, this is crazy, and now the triple-double has kind of become normalized in the modern NBA because of what Russell Westbrook has done, making it seem like it's not as hard as it actually is, because he is such a unique player that he's able to do it on a consistent basis, which not a lot of players are able to do. And so, I was critical of him earlier on in his career with the style of play that he had, and the way that his teams kind of flamed out in the playoffs. We had seen that for a couple of years, after KD left, when they lost in the first round a couple of times, and with Paul George there, and then they lose to the Jazz, and then they he gets traded to the Rockets and they flame out in the playoffs to losing against the Lakers, and it's kind of just Westbrook is one of the most polarizing players that we have ever seen in the NBA, and for the most part of my basketball watching life, I have sort of been on the more hating side of it. I don't want to say hating because I don't know if that's the right word, but more critical side of Russell Westbrook over his career. And this season has really been sort of a strange experience for me, going from somebody who doesn't like Russell Westbrook to starting to appreciate a little bit more what he brings to the game and what he has been able to accomplish with Washington this year. And I kind of had decided this more so at the start of the season because when he was with OKC and when he was with Houston, I'm a Golden State Warrior fan. And, love Russ or hate him, he was a rival to the Warriors for a couple of those years there. Not all the time, but, particularly in 2016 when those two teams faced off in the playoffs, for a couple of years before that, and then, he was always on one of the better teams in the Western Conference for a couple of seasons. And so I had been really, kind of cheering against him from the perspective of a fan who is a fan of the other team, right? Somebody who's a fan of a competitor, and so I don't really get to watch with an objective eye and be either like or dislike based on just watching basketball. I kind of was being sucked into the experience of being a fan, as you do, right? Because that's just what happens when you're a fan of basketball. I'm sure you all can relate. A lot of people's opinions on certain players or teams are based on which team they like, whether that's conscious or not. That's just kind of how it works. So at the start of this season, I was excited because Westbrook is in the Eastern Conference. He's not a competitor whatsoever with Golden State. That finals matchup is not one that's going to happen, and they only play twice in the regular season. So I'm never going to have to cheer against Russell Westbrook. I can just kind of watch him this year and watch with an objective eye and really kind of learn to appreciate the season that he's had. And it started off pretty slow. He had the quad thing. I think a couple of days ago, he said that he was actually playing with a torn quad earlier in the season, which is pretty impressive. But he had the quad injury, and the team just dealt with a lot of health and safety stuff. They had a lot of games postponed. Just had a rough time earlier on in the season. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, they've been one of the hottest teams in basketball over the last month. And Russ has just been going out and getting triple-doubles and willing the team to victories. And, I mean, we've kind of been tracking this stat. A lot of people have been putting this out on Twitter. But when Russell Westbrook records a triple-double, his teams win like 75% of the time or something. The percentage is around like 74-75%. When Russ gets a triple-double, his team usually wins. And so, you know, in the past, particularly when I was a little bit younger, like 2016, you know, that was 5 years ago now. So I was still a teenager, and I was kind of being a young basketball fan and being sort of, you know, really digging into your opinions. And so I had kind of talked a lot about how the triple-double is a meaningless stat. It doesn't mean anything. It's completely arbitrary, and it doesn't actually help your team win games, and blah, 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 going off about the triple-double or whatever, right? And I have since changed my mind on that. I still am a little bit tepid on the whole concept of a triple-double and how much it actually means in terms of, you know, contextualizing how good of a performance a basketball player had in any given game. But it clearly means something, and the fact that Russ is able to do this when no other player in the league is able to do this with the regularity that he does. I mean, he's had him, you know, like I said, he is the all-time leader in triple-doubles. He leads the league in it every single year. He, like, has averaged a triple-double in, like, 4 of the past 5 seasons or something like that. And he's come out with quotes and said that, you know, if anybody could do it, then they would. And I agree with that. You know, it's a thing where, like, if everybody could do it, average a triple-double every single year, then there would be a lot more people averaging a triple-double. And Russ is a uniquely equipped player to be able to do that, getting the assists and getting the rebounds along with the points. And when he plays well and he gets the triple-double, then his teams usually win. And so clearly it's valuable and clearly it means something. And with the way that the Wizards have been playing over the past month or so, I think it's really even legitimized it even more, because yes, they were really struggling early on in the season, and you know, they weren't playing well and they were not on track to make the play-in tournament, but they have firmly placed themselves in that conversation. They will be playing in the postseason. Now, who knows how it's going to go, right? They might lose in the play-in round. They might get into a first-round series and lose there. Might get swept. Who knows? But really the run that they've had, and Russell Westbrook playing as well as he has over the past little while, has really, I think, brought a lot of people to appreciate his career a little bit more. And I think there are still things to be critical of Russ for, like taking some shots that he shouldn't take. He's been very stubborn on adjusting his shot selection. There have been points in his career where he's done better with it, but there's a lot of times where he's taking threes that he shouldn't take, and kind of taking over the game late when, you know, you have Bradley Beal or Kevin Durant or Paul George on your team who are probably a little bit better in those late game situations. But this is more of a praising Russ video, so we'll stay away from that. I think that's about all I have on Russell Westbrook. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about Russell Westbrook breaking the triple-double record and the season that he's had so far. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. But with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.